We the GamerCast is brought to you by Patreon support at patreon.com/makeusbetter. So I want to give a quick thank you to all our executive producers, like our platinum executive producers, Corey Hicks at twitch.tv/chicks_18, and Mr. Mark Moody at youtube.com/outoflives. Our gold executive producers, Mike BC over at Quest for Pixels, and Panache Malloy. And our executive producers, Brendan Myers, Tony Hutchinson, Donnie Reece, Stephen Iafrate, Caro Underwood, dude, Dante Bellini Jr., Jared Gauthier, Dude427, Kevin Austin, Josh Bloodborne Borbone, Bloodborne, Tammi Ryan, Robert Bobby Miller, Tim Aulph, Martini Jean, and David Ray. Thank you guys so much. If you'd like to support us, go over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. Now, on with the show. Sean Capri, and welcome to episode 170 of We the GamerCast. It publishes on iTunes and Google Podcasts, or whatever they're called, every Monday. Also on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. Thank you for writing, rating, leaving comments, everything that you guys do. I will be getting through this pretty quickly for two reasons. Number one, just had some dinner with my Lincoln and with my Chelsea, and it's almost bath time. But the other reason is that I need to get to this conversation with Alex Van Aken as quickly as freaking possible. This is one of the special ones. This is one of those, like, let's sit down with one of the brightest minds in content creation in this independent circuit. But this is like, I almost called the episode the independent AAA, kind of like Hellblade, kind of like what those guys are going for. That's what OKB says. So I want to get to this really quickly, but I want to give a quick shout out to my guest last week, Johnathan Brown at Purple M13. What a great chat, and amazing music that I've got over at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. Thanks to him as part of my victory lap whenever I close out the show, and it started last week's show. I feel like We the GamerCast is kind of like it only took 170 some odd episodes, guys, but it feels like we're in a bit of a groove right now. I don't know if you guys feel it too, but I hope you do. And if you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with strangers from the internet, and we talk about video games and everything else. And if you want to be on the show, it's pretty easy. Just tweet at me at Sean Capri, Sean like Connor Capri, like the pants. There's a couple things that I'm going to race through here, but not too quickly. Hopefully this all makes sense. I've been on a couple shows, guys. Couple things I want to draw your attention to. The first one, Johnny Casino rebooting the podcast called Radio is Lame. Probably one that maybe you hadn't even heard of yet. Some of you have definitely heard about it. Radio is Lame is sort of like it's kind of this meta podcast, actually, and it's over the first few dozen episodes or so, done a lot of exploring what the hell is the show. Johnny has recently rebooted it, and it's a guest show, and he brings people on. It has a theme for every show, which I think is incredibly smart, very difficult, but very smart. He had Chris Berto on last week. This week, as you're hearing this, I will be the guest. I will be the second guest that he had on the show, and we talked about what it's like inspiring others and being like, after doing this for 170 episodes and people start doing their own thing. So I had a great conversation about that. And holy crap, like it went off in a whole bunch of different directions. So please check that out, guys. The other thing I recorded a while ago that just launched is with Amanda Hicks, wife of Corey Hicks, our platinum executive producer. So we talked about Lost on a show called TV Matters. That's also available on Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Links, I should probably put the link somewhere. I'll tweet them out when they're live. I'll tweet these things out for sure. So follow me on Twitter at Sean Capri. I don't think that TV Matters has a thing. So anyways, we talked about Lost. So if you guys like the TV show Lost, it's one of my favorite shows. So we got to ramble on about that for a good hour or so. And then the other thing I just recorded earlier today was the Megadads X show, and God knows when that's going to come out. But I had a great time. The Megadads are right there, man. Like, they're just, those guys are incredible. I just am very grateful for any moment that I can hang out with some of these great people. So Johnny Casino with Radio is Lame, Amanda Hicks with TV Matters, and Adam and John with MDX. So who knows when that thing is going to go up. I thought it was going to be like the next one, but apparently it's in November or something. But I love you guys. Quick shout out as well. Delvin Cox, new producer. Thanks to over at patreon.com/makeusbetter. I want to let you guys know that even though, I'm a Xbox fanboy, I'm loving me some Spidey. I don't really have a place to talk about Spider-Man, but I won't do that today. I want to play it a little bit more because we need to get into this conversation with Alex Van Aken, one of the best human beings on the planet. You can follow him on Twitter at It's Van Aken. You can find all of his great stuff at okbeast.com or youtube.com/okbeast. Let's get into it. Here he is, Alex Van Aken. Bah.
Yeah, and I had to bring my stuff because we did like shows and stuff. And I packed as much as I could into my carry-on.
Yeah.
And, like there was some random dude who responded to my post, and he was like, "You should have packed better and you shouldn't put your stuff." I'm like, dude, you don't know me, one, and two, I know how to pack a bag.
No kidding. Like I just don't understand.
My mic was literally in the case that I showed you a second ago.
Yes, I know. Like I just don't understand how this is even possible. It's like they had to have opened it up. Yeah, and thrown it against something like, oh, this is valuable and we're not liable, so this should be fun.
Or even because I'm sure like it's going to the scanner. They're like, what is that?
Yeah.
I bet they pull it out. Maybe they drop it or something. I don't know.
Oh man.
Like,
well,
hands on its head, but whatever.
You know, I think that my intent today is to have like a few threads of positivity. Because
I would like that.
Yeah, let's focus on the things that make us happy, the things that we like to create content, and you do it better than most. Talk to me a little bit about PAX, like how, like I know you guys talked about it on OKBeast a little bit, but like sure. It seems like forever ago already, and probably even more so for you. Like, what was the experience like from your perspective for PAX this year?
Man, PAX was so awesome, and you're right, we did talk about it on the OKBeast podcast, but it was like 3 a.m. and I don't know if I was able to articulate how fun it was because I was so exhausted when we recorded that. But PAX was going into PAX, I was like, we got approved for media, which is like something I've been working towards. Like we got approved for PAX East, but none of us could go except for Moises, so he got to enjoy that by himself. But this is the first time that several of us, like specifically me and Blessing and Ian, were able to go and do it. And it was like a goal that we've had for a while, and it felt good. It was like a validating feeling because you have like you have your friends and stuff that are like, yeah, this is awesome, you're doing great. It's another thing to have like an external company be like, yeah, you're good, you can come like and like work this. It's just an extra form of validation that isn't necessary but feels good. And so my mindset going into PAX is like, all right, I'm gonna work my butt off, gonna see a bunch of games, gonna meet people, gonna network, gonna have fun, gonna see friends. But I think I did that. Like we worked our butt off, but also like I got to see so many awesome games, which you can't really call it working when like you're seeing cool games, you know. But like making content, I guess, around it. So that was like the main focus of PAX this year for us. And Blessing was also on 2 panels. He was on the Spawn on Me panel, which is our a podcast that we really all like to collaborate with. And he was also in the Kind of Funny tournament. And so both of those experiences were like the weird, like, this is our goal for next year and the year after, but here it is, it's happening now. And so that was a cool thing, but I was very thankful for that.
Do you guys like actually sit around and have, because I've worked with a lot of people, I've had everybody's actually we don't even just have this within like the content creator or podcasting or whatever community. Everybody's been part of like school, like group work or like group assignments and things like that, and like 9 times out of 10, if not more, somehow that stuff just doesn't work. There's always somebody who like just doesn't pull their weight, or like it's hard to get on the same page with everything and like sync up schedules and ideas and everything like that. But like, do you guys do that? Do you treat it like a group assignment? Are you able to kind of like come together? It just seems like you guys are such a well-oiled machine, and that automatically puts you ahead of anybody who's even remotely trying to do this thing, whatever you want to call it, which I want to get into. There's so many different angles and dimensions of content creation within video games. But yeah, I kind of want to just to pick your brain a little bit about that dynamic. You guys have kept a tight group, but it's big enough that you can you're expansive too. Like it's like the perfect size, it seems.
As far as like organization and stuff, I honestly feel like that's one of our areas that we could improve on. So I know like a couple other like, it seems like Make Us Better is very organized. At least on the outside. Like it seems like you guys have meetings and you guys talk about stuff. We don't do that, but it's something that you
just do it telepathically.
We have like a group chat, but we never have like or we did, and it was a long story, but we no longer do like, all right, let's sit down and meet and talk about this like over Skype or something. It's mostly like where everyone's busy. Like that's the life of a content creator on YouTube or
Right.
on Twitch or whatever. Like you have your main life, your 9 to 5 usually, and then everything else is crammed in, into the rest of the time that you have allotted. And so most of the time, we just like are going and like we're communicating like via like text or whatever. Like with a big group chat, and we're like, all right, I'm working on this. It should be up by this day. Hey Moises, can you look over these words for me and see if my script makes sense? Or that we do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Versus like a sit down and plan everything out for a month, which I know some people do.
So then how do you say, so looping it back to the whole like PAX thing, and you guys are saying like we had these goals, like where does that come from? It sounds very, very official and ambitious and very specific as well.
Sure.
And the fact that you actually reach it, it's not like, I think for a lot of people who make content, and I get in this trap a little bit as well, where you get to just, you're in the groove and you're doing things, and sometimes it feels great and sometimes it doesn't feel as good, but it doesn't really feel like you're working towards something specific. And I don't know where I land on this. Sometimes I have those moments of like, yes, I do want to have like something very, very specific, and it can be scary to have those goals. And shout out to Ed Placencia, who was in the chat a few nights ago, and I think this whole thing kind of came up that we were talking about it, and he's like, say your goals out loud. Like, always say your goals out loud. And that will be, there's a few pieces of advice that I've heard over the last number of years, since like in my many, many decades on this planet, Alex, that just like, they just ring true. Like my grandma told me to marry somebody smarter than me. And I remember that from when I was like 7 years old. And like, of course, like Chelsea is way smarter than me. She multitasks and she's bright and funny and all those things. And this was another one of those things, like say your goals out loud. So I'm curious to loop it back to like, okay, Beast, you guys have very specific goals. You hit those goals. And I just, from like friend to friend, I respect that more than, I don't know, I respect it to the nth degree, just because it's one thing to say I want to do a thing, but then actually like get it. I don't know, man. It's incredible to watch. And you guys are just, it seems like you're on such a hot streak. So
I appreciate that. I really do, Sean. But I will say, like, there's a lot of goals that we haven't hit that we just haven't. Again, we made some goals public, like we wanted to do this. Other goals we have internally that we might not hit for 5 years, or however long. Like, I do feel like there are goals we don't hit, but we do make a point to celebrate the ones we do hit. Yeah, I think that's important. Like, and that might come off as overconfidence or something. I think it's healthy to celebrate your victories, and especially if you've pre-established like, here's our goal. Here's what a victory would look like to me. I might not be on a PAX panel next year. Maybe the victory is I get an interview with like some cool dev that nobody else got, and I got like some tidbit of information. That could be a victory for me.
You're gonna get the exclusive leak from Cliffy B on Lawbreakers 2.
Lawbreakers 2 remastered.
Yeah, not even two. Just, we want a remaster. It's been like a year.
Exactly. And so like I worked for a nonprofit for like 4 or 5 years, and that was like one of the number one things that I learned from them. They were great at saying, hey, like we might not be winning over here, but we won over here. And I feel like that kind of attitude, and I don't always, it's easy to get down and negative sometimes, but I think it is healthy to kind of celebrate and like Ed said, put those goals out there. And like, I wouldn't say put every goal out there, like, but I think it's sometimes nice to have like your own personal thing that you hold to your chest, and it's like a personal victory. But I do think putting your goals out there definitely helps make them more of a reality. I
feel like it's sort of like, whether you hit them or not, I feel like it forces you to evolve in whatever it is that you're creating, or even your approach to the whole thing. So I'm curious as to like, because I've been doing a lot of like reflection on this as well, and I think a lot of people do. Like the reason why you start doing things maybe changes into why do you continue to do things, and then what do you strive to do something else? Like, because like I would be lying if I even thought any of this was even going to be possible from starting We the GamerCast. Like there's just, or even like starting writing for We the Nerdy. Like it was all about, I just wanted to see if I could write, if somebody gave me a deadline, could I hit it? Like that's really where this all kind of started. And then could I actually like technically record a podcast? And then it starts like, so at every stage, like the next goal or even question that I had for myself had changed. So I'm curious for you, like starting a Pixel Pulse Radio, then to the merger, then to like what OK Beast continues to by the way, rest in peace, Pixel Pulse Radio.
Hey,
can we Pixel?
It's not dead. Maybe it'll come back.
It's like Jack Bauer. He's just temporarily dead. Just
he comes back and like somebody else is like did Jack Bauer change? Is Keith Sutherland still Jack Bauer?
I think there's a different but always in my heart. 24 will always be Jack Bauer in my heart.
Yes,
and everybody listening. Do you miss it?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. It's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
There were a lot of reasons for why we sent Pixel Pulse Radio to the beach for a long vacation.
Yeah.
A lot of it was it's much harder when it's two people. Like if one person is out, like it just becomes this huge deal, you know.
Yeah.
And Brandon is a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. There was a couple months straight where it was like it seemed impossible to record an episode.
Yeah.
And that's why on OK Beast podcast we typically have like 4 people, and Brandon and I are 2 of the co-hosts. So
now Brandon's available every week.
Pretty much
somehow.
But also we were running into a lot of redundancy in like what we were talking about. Like we had done the merger with OK Beast, which is something we really felt strongly about, like was the right move. But then it was like we had 2 gaming podcasts that kind of do the same thing. And yeah, we'll miss the one-on-one dynamic, but I feel like one, it frees up bandwidth for everyone. Like Blessing could then go on and host. Now he's doing Super Throne Watch twice a week.
Interesting.
Or once every other week. So it freed him up to do something, to edit another show, and now I do the OK Beast like editing and all that. But yeah, it was like Pixel Pulse Radio was really special to me because it was me and my stepdad. It was just family talking. And there was definitely something special about that. I think we've both grown though by changing up the formula. I feel like Brandon especially has kind of bloomed, and he's way more. He was a bit tepid when we did Pixel Pulse Radio. Sometimes behind the scenes, he'd be like, oh, I don't feel like I should talk about this, or I don't feel like I'm knowledgeable in this. Now he's out there. I feel like way more. Maybe it's just me. I don't know, but I feel like
it comes through for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that change has helped both of us, and I don't know, like who knows? Maybe in 5 years it comes back. Who knows? Because I do think there's that fun dynamic with us too. But yeah.
Well, I wanted to, that kind of like one of the things that I've been, because, okay, so for those of you who weren't in the Twitch stream when all of this happened, and I was going to record with Kevin Austin from PSVG, but that will happen another time. That opened up a beautiful opportunity for me to talk to Alex today. But I was listening to a few OK Beast podcast episodes in a row, and I believe I was listening to the PAX episode, and you guys were all kind of just like reminiscing about the weekend, and it just sounded like, I feel like no matter what, whenever you guys record, whether it's distance by like Skype or whatever it is, Google Hangouts or whatever it is you're using, or when you're in the same room, honestly, like the chemistry feels like the same. Like I actually don't think about, like you said, that you guys are always in different places. And like, I actually had to think like, yeah, that's true. You guys aren't all in the same room, but it honestly, the audio quality is there for that. But also like I feel like your chemistry is just like you guys are neighbors, or that like you're all living in the same dorm or something, which I think is probably the most special thing. But this all came about because I had Lincoln on my lap coming back home from Toronto, listening to this thing, just trying to fight off this cold, and thinking about just how excellent I feel OK Beast is, and I started to not necessarily like, I want to frame this in the proper way. This is 1,000% positive for not only you, but for people listening as well. We can get very like down on ourselves, but this was very like not like I'm doing everything wrong, but more about like how can I be better, or even like just reflecting on what I'm making. So one of the questions that I had, like I just started like writing down like either ideas for new things that I would want to do or changes that I would want to do, but also questions about like these guys have had either real conversations or implied decision making where you've decided on a certain bandwidth of stuff, as you said, where you're not doing 16,000 podcasts, even though it might seem like you guys, like you just added leaderboards to the thing, and you have the new Patreon exclusive stuff. But I was going to ask you about like, how do you decide, maybe even just you personally, like how do you decide on, I want to focus on videos, like this video that I'm going to do the video essay, and does it come to you every 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's something like that now.
And then the podcast, like what allows you to focus on those things instead of getting maybe too distracted with, I want to do Let's Plays, or I want to do streaming, or I want to do all the different like dimensions of creating content in the video game space. I'm curious, like what keeps you focused on that?
I used to do the Let's Play thing back when I had my own YouTube channel and stuff. So answering that kind of question, like I feel like I know the things that I'm pretty good at and the things that I'm not. I'm not the best at the comedic entertaining, constantly on the ball for an hour straight for which I feel like is what's needed for a Let's Play, right? I'm not that kind of guy. Like I very much like to host the show because I feel like I'm good at like keeping everybody on track, and also I feel like my strong suit is kind of having that enthusiasm for hosting, but also like that gives me a chance I can let other people talk and I can just listen, which I feel like is more suits my personality. Like I enjoy talking, but I also am the kind of guy who's fine like just sitting back and listening, and I feel like I've tried to play to that kind of strength as far as the podcasting stuff goes. And as far as like the other stuff, like what I choose to put my time into, what I choose to focus on, it's really like kind of reflected by what I consume myself. I'm not a big Let's Play guy.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I've been getting into streaming more. Like like I watch your stream quite a bit. I love that. And I just found out Bobby's on Twitch now too. But so I've been getting into that, and so I've kind of got that itch. Like, oh, it'd be fun to try that, you know. But for now, I'm just learning and observing, and just having fun with it. But same thing with videos. Like I have a certain video style that I like to watch, and so that's what I choose to put my time into. I try to have just like 1 to 2 things a week, because otherwise I feel like I will drop the ball on something, and maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but I do try to conscientiously think about like what's my bandwidth, you know? What can I realistically do? Yeah, I could commit to that thing, and sometimes I say yes when I shouldn't. But it's like, I don't know. That's kind of I don't know if I'm answering the question, but that's kind of
and it's not necessarily like I asked the question and I require like the response. I'm definitely like more interested in like the exploration of it all. Like I don't even know that anybody really comes to like a finite answer. Like I certainly don't, and even like what I have committed to produce, even just with the show with We the GamerCast, like there was a time period where we actually hit a milestone with Patreon to say 2 bonus episodes per month and they're returning guests. But like as that was sort of happening, Twitch started to come in a little bit, or like doing the YouTube. So it's like I felt like it was still fair to say like the Patreon allowed me to like almost realize additional bandwidth to do 3 times a week of streaming. So it just everything kind of like morphs and changes, and it's just part of either your own self-reflection of what you want to do or what like excites you, and then just kind of like just kind of doing it. So I don't know, man. It's just I wanted to have you on the show just to kind of like explore even the journey that we are all on in terms of like and I think we talked about this just briefly. I want to loop back to it in terms of like what did you expect when you started? Like, did you have any expectations of like what to get out of this? Whether it's a physical thing or like you were gonna be somewhere or make this money, or I don't know. Like, what were your initial expectations, and then what are they now?
I think when I first started, our main goal, which we haven't reached yet, we started the podcast. Brandon and I wanted to start one so we could go to E3, and that is still a goal of mine that I am working towards. That's a little different. That requires vacation off from work and all that stuff, so that's another beast. But yeah, that was a goal of ours. It was, I mean, at its core, like I was feeling lonely. I didn't have any friends out in Colorado after I just moved there to talk about games, and I missed that. And my stepdad Brandon was somebody who I often had those conversations with and played with online, and so I was like, hey, like, so that was part of the I guess the main goal was to have somebody to talk to, you know, just like I said, feeling kind of lonely. I love games. I want to talk about them. I'm missing that right now in life, so that was just a kind of a creature comfort kind of like need of mine, and so the podcast kind of fulfilled that. And then I'd be lying if I wasn't like, and when I was planning the podcast, I'm like, this is gonna be the greatest podcast ever.
Right.
Get like,
of course,
watch out, kind of funny, I'm coming, you know. And then you listening back to the first episode, it's like, oh my gosh,
please, I hope nobody heard this. It's like,
I know, I still remember one of our first reviews. I don't know who did it, but I like reached out to friends and family and asked them to review us, and one person rated it 1 star, and they were like, not sure what the allure is, and I was like, check it out.
Oh my god.
Because we had made it on a new and noteworthy, which is actually one of my goals before we launched. And so I kind of cheated my way on there. We were just like, friends and family, help us out. Here's a couple episodes to download, leave reviews. We did it, and then I guess some stranger came in and saw it through the new noteworthy thing, and they were like, not sure what the allure is.
Oh my gosh,
and
dude.
I actually kind of appreciate that comment. Like I joke about it, but it is kind of like, sometimes you get a little big for your britches, and I kind of appreciate the bringing it back to reality. I don't know.
You have like that personality though of like that, and I think you and I are similar in this way where, like, at our core we are humble people, right? But you kind of have like
Sure.
you can't have goals and aspirations without thinking that like maybe there's even a chance that you do that, which automatically makes you feel like confident in your abilities, or at least somewhat confident, even if it's like shaky kind of confidence. So it kind of puts you in that like weird kind of place of like, I'm putting myself out there, I'm presenting myself as like knowing definitely what I'm doing. I've got a goal that I want to actually get there, but at the same time, like, who knows what we're doing, like, or who knows if actually anybody's gonna like it when they listen to it. I often tell people that like I mostly pretend that like that nobody is listening, even though like I know objectively like people will screenshot stuff where they will like respond and they will demonstrate that they're listening, but I don't look at like any of the numbers and stuff just for that reason. It just like it's such a play on your heart, and I'm way too sensitive to like really know the thing.
I like to have like my fantasy my ignorance, my blissful ignorance.
But you'll take all the good stuff. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, like when PAX happens.
Look at what we did.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, what about over there? It's like, we're not looking over there right now.
Yeah, just put up the guard. Yeah, exactly. There's probably like everybody, like, because what I love about this show is that it's sort of like the majority of people who listen to the show make their own stuff. Right, is like people come on and they have been making their stuff, or they come on, they actually go on to make their thing. So everybody, I hope, is just kind of like nodding, or maybe even realizing now that they're like, man, I didn't realize I was nodding. It's kind of like when you watch like something great, or just like there's something pure and wholesome, and you're like, I just realized I'm smiling ear to ear.
Dude,
like,
that happens to me all the time.
Me too.
I'm like, have I been smiling for like 5 minutes? Because this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I love it though. That's awesome. What do you feel like? I don't know, like, where are you at in like this whole process? Like,
I feel like I'm like,
you've been bringing up these questions. Obviously, it's something that's been on your mind, and I share that with you.
Yeah.
What do you feel about like what, like, your goals and stuff like that? I feel like the Twitch streaming thing, you started that recently. You were on YouTube, obviously, but switch to Twitch, and I feel like from my end, it looks like it's going really well.
Thanks, man. Twitch is like the first time really, and this I want to loop this back to you, so it's not gonna
sure.
So because the next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is like teams versus individuals, and collaborations and like official collaborations where it's like OK Beast as a team, or even like We the Nerdy and Make Us Better, versus maybe less formalized things, or maybe temporary collaborations, because like twitch.tv/Sean Capri is the first thing that, like, aside from my Twitter, that has my name on it. We the Nerdy is somebody else's. Make Us Better is shared with somebody else. If we ran Nintendo created with Bobby. Like, everything that I've done is with somebody else. And so like me doing streaming is the very first time that I was like, oh, this is my name on the thing, which is strange, and I've mostly avoided that. I don't think out of like self-conscious reasons. It wasn't anything that I was necessarily like overtly afraid of, I don't think. I just like maybe overdid I just truly believe like people are better together. Like, we're better if we like collaborate. We're just kind of like what you talked about, going from Pixel Pulse Radio to now OK Beast. It's just, if something happens, you got like a family to back you up a little bit. Yeah. So that's always been my approach. And even now with Lohr as part of the Xbox Drive, like, I get to pay things forward now too, because I have such close relationships with so many people, and like Brock McLaughlin has opened so many doors for me, and Andrew Semicek has opened so many doors, and my life changed completely from meeting Bobby and just having that opportunity, like, because I've always held relationships so close to me and held them so important, that now I'm in such an easy place to just go like, we got a couple codes, and I don't have a moment to review them or to play them or whatever, but like Luke can. So now I can, and now like it's completely like, he's thrilled. It's the greatest feeling, man. So it's like, I don't know, like, I wanted to talk to you about so I'm feeling pretty good. I don't know exactly where it's going. Having a baby in a few months kind of just puts a giant like question mark on it all.
Yeah. Obviously.
But I would also be lying if I like there have been moments where I'm like, because I have some ideas for like Patreon goals, and I don't know if I should say that. Maybe I'll tell you something afterwards. But I can't remember if I said something on the stream or not. I don't know how much stuff is public, but I'll say this: I have an idea for Patreon supporters to allow me to take this to the next level of like doing that, because streaming is kind of like a newfound love, and I'm trying to treat it like podcasting, where at the beginning I didn't know what I was doing. I was so lucky to have Seamus Mullins was the first guest on the GamerCast. Seamus. He was the very first one. And now like the world, the cosmos are telling me, and I think hope maybe a few people, that like we're all kind of we're in the right place. We're in where we should be, because Seamus is working with you, and like I respect, and you guys are friends, and like it just, what are the chances that this dude from Australia is the first person to come on this show, and then you and I become friends, and like we respect each other, and it's just like, it could have been anybody. Right. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. It's too coincidental for, I don't know what anybody believes that might be, but like, it's reassuring for me that it all kind of like adds up. So I don't know what's next, but I would love to. Twitch has this funny way of like tricking you into thinking that you can just do this, like, and just leave everything else. And that would be, and my wife would totally support that. Right. So she like, there's a couple of things that we talked about that she's like, yes, like, do that. So we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk a little bit afterwards. Okay. But I wanted to. I did want to talk to you a little bit about like the team versus the individual, and like kind of like what your approach to teamwork and collaboration is, versus like how does Alex Van Aken sit within either OK Beast or the teams that you work within.
So how do I work with people?
And just like how like. Maybe even like, how did you come from going to like just making a podcast with Brandon, and then going like, you know what, teamwork is important. Maybe teamwork is very important to me, or like where does it kind of like lie in just how you approach the whole project, the whole OK Beast project.
So I kind of mentioned like Brandon and I having like scheduling issues and all that stuff. And that was also happening at a time in my job when I was feeling like very isolated. And if anybody can tell, I am very much driven by like creature comfort and like what I'm going through emotionally and personally. And so that kind of affects my outlook on a lot of stuff. And so that was kind of happening. I was like, man, there's this opportunity to like have a team, and like we could be better, make us better, like we could be better together. And so the way I kind of approach it is, at least with the way we work at OK Beast, we all are our own individual creators, but we are representative of one thing. And so, like sometimes I want to do my own thing. I've got this passion project, and I'm like, I could do it under my own name or whatever. And there are certain things that I think that makes more sense for than others, but like there was a point when I wanted to do a cooking show, and I was like, that wouldn't fit with that's more of like a Soul Alex thing. And so the way I approach like teamwork, I guess, is like, I love it. I think it's crucial, and I think it's a part of, kind of who I am. Like I really need that. You mentioned earlier, like a family to back you up. Yeah. I really need that as a person. Like when the trolls come on the YouTube and they say you suck, if it was just me, like I would take that. It would just ruin my day, But I'll screenshot it and I'll be like, look at this turd, I'm upset about this. Yeah, I say other things, but I'm like, look at this absolutely mean for no reason person. And that would just ruin my week, my day by myself. But I'll throw that in there, and I'll be feeling that. And then, Blessing, he's very good at the iron skin thing. He'll be like, hey, yada, yada, yada. Don't worry about this. This is, they're a hater. Like, nobody cares. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm giving them my energy that they don't deserve. So I feel like I almost thrive on that teamwork for those kind of things, like the more personal kind of level of things. But I there are things that I've wanted, like I thought about streaming. I've thought about, like I said, the cooking show. I think there's something fun about having something to put just your name on it and see how it works out. Yeah. Like there is I don't know. I'm intrigued by that, I don't have any plans or anything to do that, but I think it's fun to have the 100% creative agency over something. And
that's okay. Yes, that's exactly. I'm dancing around it, but that is actually sort of like central to the question is, no matter what, no matter if it's one person or 5 other people, as soon as you add another person into the mix, it's immediately a trade-off of, I have additional resources, but now it's very likely that we will be somewhere compromising like whatever my purest vision of whatever it is versus like what the purest vision of that person is. And it's going to be, if it's in the middle and we're both completely satisfied with that, then that's great. But like, it never is 100% yours, for better or for worse. Like sometimes, and I've always kind of thought about teaming up with people who help me make something better, like to actually like lean on their expertise if it's writing or production or streaming or something like that. Cause I feel like we all have something to learn from somebody else. But at the same time, as soon as like I think back to Antonio Guillen when he offered to like produce the show. He's like, just send me the raw files and I'll put the whole show together for you. And I remember thinking like, now I have this person, I can like free up some bandwidth for something else. But at the same time, like if the show is ever like that much different, like if the conversation comes in a couple beats after where I would normally put the conversation in on the song, like those little things. And it's just like, it shouldn't bug me because I should be so grateful that this person is helping. But at the same time, like, it's that, I don't know. And I don't know if it's ego or like type A control, but those are all things that certainly go through, I think, my mind and maybe a lot of people's minds when it comes to collaboration. For
me, it's a control issue.
Yeah.
I have run into, we've run into issues at OK Beast where I think I was the person to blame. I think everybody would agree. We had an issue come up where like some person that wasn't a part of OK Beast sent us like, an asset that I was like, the asset's great. It's really cool looking, but it's not really like, it doesn't really fit within, the branding that I set up.
Yep.
Yeah. And I did in that scenario, like it was a personal thing for me. I was like, I spent, 50, 60 hours just on this logo, yada, yada. They weren't talking about changing the logo, but it was, something like that.
Just the way it kind of like introduces a video or whatever, the wrap that you guys have or whatever, like a little splash.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this person is obviously incredible what they do. It looks great. It just doesn't necessarily fit. And that was my intention. What came out was like, I put so much time. I didn't yell, but it was might as well have. But it was definitely a control thing.
Alex, you and I are so similar. I feel so bad for you every time. Like on the show, you want to move forward. Like you want to move on to the next thing. So you're trying to close whatever it is, and usually it's like complimenting somebody. You're like, well, that was a really great story. So and it always comes off so sarcastic. Like, I don't mean it so sarcastic. That's like, as I'm saying this is not what I mean. It happens to be all the time, dude. It's like, no, just get in my brain for a second.
Talking about teamwork, and I know we're supposed to be positive, but I'm not negative about this. This is just a reality of who I am.
Yeah.
I am not a great communicator. It's like probably my main weakness.
Don't do that. You're a great communicator. Blame it on somebody else. Sometimes people aren't good listeners. There's two parts.
That is very true.
That
is very true. I am a very emotional person, and so going back to this teamwork thing, this sole individual thing, at the same level of like, my family is there to back me up. There's also times when I take things way too personally, and I'll like let the emotions like make a decision or something when it's like, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm at as far as like, I've kind of rambled now, but
that's the whole point of the show. I wanted to so you kind of landed on something knowingly that I wanted to ask you guys about as well, because one of the things that I truly admire about OK Beast is your seemingly like uncompromising upholding of the standards of quality. Your videos are pristine. The audio quality is amazing. Like you guys are the level that people should be striving towards. So I'm curious as to like where does that come from? Is it coming from like some previous like professional work, or like how did you sort of define like kind of what you were expressing before, that I have a certain vision? And like, where does that come from? A lot of times when a lot of us are busy and all we want to do is just like get the thing out, quality is compromised, or we're more focused on the fact that this video has to go out every single week, that some like shortcuts get cut. And that probably still happens for you guys. I'm basically buying you time to think about this a little bit as I ramble.
Sure.
But I'm curious as to like, at what point did you decide the quality is going to be A+, and because I do think that must have been a conscious decision for you. And then how difficult is it to maintain that high standard as you guys continue to push out more and more stuff?
I very much appreciate that first. So for me, I can only speak to my personal experience. So I came from like a background. I didn't come from a background. I used to try to mix bands and stuff, and so I had some knowledge of. I was like, okay, I did bands. I can do podcasts probably. And there's things you learn still, obviously. But so coming into that, I felt pretty confident about that. If you go and listen to like my first 30 podcasts, they sound probably garbage, but I do have somewhat of confidence in that. I think the thing that helps me the most, and I don't know if, hopefully this helps you. I know a lot of creators listen to this, and you've said it earlier. The thing that I would say that helps me the most is building out modules of like and assets that can be reused or easily changed, so that you save time later, but you still have something cool to show. Like I'm a big fan of, and if people want links or help, like just DM me on social media. But having like pieces of a video, like I know when I do a video, I have this piece, I have this piece, I have this piece, this piece. This never changes. These assets, these motion graphics or whatever, titles, songs, whatever, they're going to be in my video every single time. So I'm going to spend a lot of time before, like usually we'll spend like probably 2 months working on like an asset, like a graphic, or whatever, but if we know we're going to launch a show. And so I try to build it out to where you can reuse the thing. And because you don't want to like spend all this time and make one thing look great when you could, maybe spend a little more time and like make it so that you can drag and drop it. Like I'm a big fan of that. And yeah, sometimes people like call that out and they're like, why do you reuse that? And like, because that's just how my videos look.
Well, it also has an added benefit of like making it it makes it part of the brand a little bit.
Yeah,
it makes it like super familiar, and exactly. It happens to be, if you're gonna see it in every single video, why not make it pristine? Like I've definitely run into the thing where like I got to get to, and this is back in the day, like I did a couple of like video reviews that just took me way too long, and I ended up getting out of that, even though I thought those were actually better than written reviews. And that's where obviously like the audience has gone is for that sort of thing. But then I get to like the splash screen at the end, how to illustrate the score, and it looked like garbage. And it was like, by that time I got to the video, it's like literally I just did it completely in order. And I'm like, I just need to get this thing out. And that's so I never got to the point of doing enough of those maybe in a row. So I'm always curious, just like, because I just know because I've been there, and I think a lot of people have been there, just like, oh, whatever. And you guys, it doesn't seem like you do that. It doesn't seem like you do the whatever thing ever.
I panic a lot. Like, I don't know if the whatever is panicking, but like, I've got a video due 2 weeks from this recording, and I have an idea that I might scrap because it's not where I want it to be. And so I might do a whatever, and I might, talk about next video might be an opinion video, or it could be, or
right.
It might pan out,
yeah, nice. Know? Yeah, so yeah, you hide the skips maybe a little smarter than other people. One of the things, I was playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider the other day, and I had like the 3D text, like as it was telling you to like, you can wall jump here, and I had the 3D text like kind of on the wall, and I was like, man, that makes me think of Alex, like the when you what video was that? I'm racking my brain now.
MMORPG video maybe.
MMO, yeah. And so, but you dedicated time to that. It seemed like a one-time use for that.
Yeah, there is exceptions to the rule.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't mean to be calling you out about it. I want to see more of that. I just like, no, it's not. I'm not even backpedaling. It's the reason I bring it up is just because I think you managed to do both. It is meant to be a compliment. It maybe seems like I'm calling shots.
I didn't take it as an insult or anything.
Are you sure you're not Canadian? Maybe you might be Canadian.
I might be. I need to take a. Kayla just got a family tree or whatever it is, like the
Ancestry 23 or Ancestry. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I need to do that, and who knows? I probably have Canadian in me. Well, see, my grandpa Van Aken, my paternal, my grandfather, he is adopted, so I don't really know where I'm from.
Oh,
like,
snap!
On that side of family.
We could be cousins.
I could be like from Alberta.
We could be cousins. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
But yeah, going back to the video thing, I do have the modules built out.
Yeah.
But you mentioned like I do other things, like I'll do like special one-offs. Part of the reason I do that is the videos at OK Beast are a good excuse to build my portfolio up. And if I make something that looks good for OK Beast, I can then put that in my video reel that I make money on, on my website where I'm getting like freelance clients. So like my video reel, I got a job at a mortgage company, or doing like some marketing at a mortgage company entirely off of my OK Beast reel. And they're like, I hope you don't know how to just do video games. And I was able to say,
funny.
I was able to say like, no, these concepts apply to everything, all kinds of footage, yada yada. And so that's kind of my mindset, as I like to reuse things. So like even though I did make that,
I can just imagine you're doing like this video. They get you to do a voiceover for a mortgage company. What is up, everybody? Welcome.
What is going on, everybody?
What is going on?
To Flatirons Bank.
Yeah.
No. So in that way, I guess I'm reusing. Not always. Like sometimes I just want to be creative and I want to try something. And if people see any effects in any of the videos I do, I've pretty much exclusively use YouTube tutorials. So if you ever have a question like, how do I make a lower third, or how do I, how do I do it? Like I can even give you it for the 3D texting. I can send you a tutorial so you can learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Like it is all YouTube. And I one of my strengths is I am a pretty fast learner. I always just have been. Like I don't know why. It's just, I guess, how I'm wired. So there is that benefit. But I just like learning new things, and I like trying to put them into practice, and it's just I don't know. It works out, I guess,
That's awesome, man. I want to talk about games for a little bit before we all go to sleep, because it's even late for us even here in the mountain time.
It is.
It's Friday night. It's the end of the week.
I'm gonna crash.
Oh, dude! Like I can't even. These lights so ruin me. My brain thinks it's daylight right now, so I have a hard time shutting off from this room, and I tell my brain just like, no, it's the end of the day. I wanted to ask you about either both your personal take on keeping up with all the games, and then also like OKB's ability to because you guys I think have had conscious conversations and direct conversations about you're playing that and it's okay that I'm not playing that, because as a group we can kind of cover all the things. One of the things that you guys, I'm just gonna flat out and say this and take it however you want. It's probably gonna take it negative. You make me feel like a pile of shit, man. You guys cover every game, and then you're able to have like, this is one of the, I do mean this in a positive way. I really don't mean to.
I know.
The end of the year comes around, right? And you guys had, I don't normally listen to 3, 4, 12-hour episodes of end game of the year type of stuff. Like I don't really do the giant bomb cast. It's like the 3-hour kind of thing. But I listen to your guys' stuff, and it's you guys are able to talk at great length and with great knowledge and depth of knowledge of these games. Whereas like my ability to play games is both because it's just me, but also like where I'm at in my point of life. I wanted to ask you about your personal ability to play all the games as they just continue to be more and more plentiful every single week. And then how does that loop into OK Beast as the years have gone on and the games have become more and more every year?
Yeah. I will be the first to say that I have an unhealthy relationship with consuming games.
I love it. Like, you say unhealthy, and anybody who doesn't have that is like, I'm so jealous right now. Like Adam Leonard, I can just hear him right now, just like, I wish my relationship was unhealthy.
But I feel like my relationship is more so with the purchasing of games. I actually don't play. I probably play 5 to 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
But in the off time, I'm like watching, like, it's YouTube, man. Like I am watching somebody break down a game, or I'm listening to a podcast about it. And Redbox is a way that I will sometimes pick up a game. If it's really, we do try, and we have talked about like, and this is something that's come up recently. Like we've kind of starting to plan our game of the year stuff. And I mentioned like, oh, I want to play this game so I can talk about it. And
it's was like, middle of September. You guys are already plotting that out?
I mean, I like to keep a list.
This is the whole
thing. I
like
to write down my thoughts.
Yeah, man. Oh, incredible.
I have a doc of every game I played this year with my thoughts. So I can refer back to it at Game of the Year.
Makes sense.
And Blessing was like, you don't have to play everything. Like, Game of the Year just reflects what we've been playing. And I'm like, I know, but there's a pressure, when you're making content. There's a big pressure to be new and relevant. And there have been times where I have been unable to do that. But I mean, a lot of the time, I am fortunate to have. I was laid off for a while, and so that kind of affected the things that I was able to play and stuff. So during that time, I would go to Redbox, or do something else. Watch a friend borrow it from a friend. Right now, I have a pretty decent job, and so I am able. Luckily, I'm privileged to be able to, pick up a game or two a month, and that really does add up. Whereas some people, it just might not be in the cards, and I would say to those people, like, don't feel pressured to be in the zeitgeist. You can. I often wish, and this is something I'm putting into practice, is I had a list that every game I wanted to play from September till December.
Yep.
And I was like, here's what I need to limit myself. This isn't healthy to play every one of these games. Like, it's time to be an adult. And
that's the worst. Nobody wants to do that.
I know nobody wants to do that, but that is, I think, healthy. And it's somewhere that I'm not right now that I want to be. So I will say, yes, it is a lot of fun to be to be able to talk about things, but also I don't play as many games as I talk about. I will say that. Like, Brandon, this is something Brandon and I have talked about. Like, how do you talk about a game if you haven't played it? How do I give that input? And I think you can use your experiences from other games or insight you've learned about it to talk about it in an interesting way. But that's kind of, I guess that's where I come down.
Yeah, no, I think it sort of speaks to where a lot of us come from in terms of we play a game for a couple hours and then we podcast, and then the expectation is that next week you don't talk about the same game 2 weeks in a row, kind of thing. I know, sure. Even Brandon kind of I'm still playing No Man's Sky, and it's that's awesome. I'm kind of just waiting for some sort of tipping point where you just can't be playing the latest game and actually have a fully fledged thing, or maybe people start getting either called out or how can you truly have a fully fledged opinion if you've only played for a couple hours? Or how long can all of us really be doing this where I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider for a couple hours, and who knows how much more I'll be able to put in before the Xbox Drive, where I'm I'll probably dedicate 10 or 15 minutes talking about that game. But have I put enough time into that game? We don't. Dude, how do not only as individuals hold ourselves accountable for the opinion that we're putting out there, but also as the people who are consuming or our peers, how do we make sure that we're kind of upholding, it's almost like a journalistic standard, because it's just the Wild West right now, and nobody's qualifying. You don't have to provide sources. Nobody's checking gameplay clocks or anything like that. It's almost like you could make up a review, copy it from Boomstick Games or whatever, and just put it on IGN. It's just that was so, what a microcosm of, I'm not suggesting that people are plagiarizing, but I do feel we are able to, especially in podcast form versus written form, we're able to say and put forward hot takes. Hot takes are a thing now. So it's just very 2018, and side effect of how many games there are.
I agree. And there are games that I'm scared people will hear me talk about on a podcast, 6 months ago, go look at my game time on the Switch and be like, that doesn't add up.
Can I ask you how many hours you put into Persona 5? I have a reason for this question.
Oh, no. I'm trapped. I did none.
It actually has nothing to do with the gameplay itself.
Oh, none.
How many hours did you spend listening to the soundtrack?
Probably 5 to 10.
Hours?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still feel the way where I'm going with this?
Let me take this moment, Sean.
Yeah, man, please
to
do.
Publicly apologize to you and the Persona fan base.
I don't take effect to insult at all. So you want to explain yourself?
I have said some regrettable things in the heat of the moment before. You could call them hot takes. I call them regrets.
You know what? I bone it down. I chop it up to comedy, man. That's
comedy.
That's the other part.
There
it was
is some
funny comment. It was a funny comment.
So, if people aren't familiar, I said during our Game of the Years that quote Persona 5 was mixed by a high school, unquote. And I was referencing. Here's my defense.
Okay.
I had listened to a ton because I do enjoy video game music quite a bit. Even I don't play the games. It's one of my favorites to just study to, or not study, write to, or whatever. And I'd listened to a lot of that game. Apparently, I listened to all the bad songs.
That's so funny.
I had just a custom YouTube playlist that somebody had made that I clicked on, first thing to come up, and I was like, all right, this is the Persona 5 soundtrack. turns out there are some very good songs on that playlist.
It'd be funny if it actually wasn't the Persona 5 soundtrack. It was just somebody like,
it was like some butt rock.
Yeah, exactly. They called it that. Like, it reminds me of like the good old days of like Napster and LimeWire and stuff. And I was trying to download a song by U2 called Walk On, and I ended up getting Pantera's Walk, but I didn't even know Pantera at the time, like, which is really weird because by the time Walk On came out, like, Pantera was pretty old by then. Anyways, you had all these like chances, especially like with just people just pawning off their made up audio. Especially remember the old like DJ blah, 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 like you'd have like remix like added on, some idiot was throwing that onto their own. It's all because it was pirated. Maybe that was your experience with
let me tell you, Crossroads, Persona 5, that is one of my favorite songs.
See, man, like, who the hell knows the songs on? That's what I'm talking about, man. You guys are next level. Like, you guys even did. This is where we're gonna talk about to close things out because it's bedtime. Talk to me about leaderboards, man. This you guys do you have a new podcast. You're doing lists. Lists are my favorite thing ever. I did a birthday with my family where we just did lists. We did like
That's
top
amazing.
10 like Pixar movies, and we did it in the
awesome.
like Nintendo voice chat style where you could put up a thing and then the next person could go and bump things down or introduce something new or things like that. So I love lists. So this podcast was like completely made for me, and it is available to everybody. I'm a patron, so so this is
available to everyone.
Yeah,
powered by patrons like you.
Amazing,
but public. Leaderboard is cool. Leaderboard is, I don't know what to think about it yet. We've had it seems like people are really engaged with Leaderboard now, whether they enjoy the podcast form, because Leaderboard, in case people don't know, I'm sure there are many who don't, it's a podcast where we sit down, like Sean said, we rank video games category by category. So we just recorded 2 earlier tonight, and we did top 10 shopkeepers in games, and then top 10 silent protagonists, I think. And
oh my god,
so,
you guys are already starting with like most obscure. Like, you could do like top 10 shooters, top 10 like whatever.
We'll get there. But I like sprinkling in the fun stuff.
That's so funny. You guys are like so obscure. Like, you just did the last one I listened to was top 10 snow levels.
Yeah.
What in the world, man?
Snow levels are great. It's just like a way to have a fun list. And so we have those podcasts, like Sean said, but then we also break it for people who don't want to listen to the podcast. We break it up into like articles and videos that you can just watch, like a 10-minute video that you can watch, or an article. And so the podcast comes out every other Wednesday, and then the following Friday the lists come out. But so Leaderboard is very it seems like people are engaged, whether I think it stresses some people out, which I totally think is valid.
Like listeners or you guys?
Both. But listeners have said, hey, I don't listen because it stresses me out. I just watch the videos. I'm like, hey, that's perfectly fine. And we have so this is the first, like, I think today was the first time we sat down to record the podcast since the show launched, because we recorded like a batch of them before it launched. And so now we've got some feedback from people that it's like, hey, like, and it's kind of changed the way we, not like crazy changes, but like, hey, let's approach this maybe in a different, this certain conversation in a different way. And like, and I'm excited to see how the show will grow because of that. But yeah, Leaderboard is cool. I like ranking games a lot. It is kind of playing into what we talked about a few minutes ago. We were talking about a lot of games that I've never played. And so we kind of take it like, if no one else has played the game, and you are very passionate about it, you're probably the authority on it, and like we will trust you based on where it should rank, but you will probably see some pushback. Like if there's a game, that only one of us has played, and there's another game that all 4 of us have played and loved, that one's probably going to go higher than the one that, So, yeah, ranking things is fun, like you said, and
I like
we're trying
to
capture that in the podcast. So.
Yeah, it's that behind the scenes of how are these like top 10 games or like even game of the year, and that's the thing that I look forward to too for you guys, is that like by having these conversations throughout the year, it will make your game of the year talk better. It's almost like you're practicing throughout the year, right? Because otherwise you're only having that conversation once a year. Like that's generally how that works.
It's definitely a different muscle too. Like that was my first time doing Game of the Year. I wish I would have gone into it more balanced. And I wish I hadn't said Persona 5 was mixed by high school. But here we are.
No, I am here to reinforce I loved it, man. Please, like, because you guys all like the whole crew has like at least a few hot takes every single time, whether you mean it or not, or if you mean it just be hilarious.
I don't think we mean it most of the time. I think it just might come off that way sometimes.
I don't ever take it that way, but I mean, who who knows? I'm pretty clueless to most things. Chelsea was like, I want to date you. And I'm like, I wonder if she's into me.
Yeah. That feels, I can relate to that.
Yeah, man, we're the same person.
I think we are.
Yeah.
I am going to do Ancestry.com and figure out if I'm from Alberta, Canada.
That will be a freaking dream come true, man. Seriously. Just be like, okay, nuts to my real family. Like, this is my long-lost cousin, Alex Van Aken. Hey, maybe I should do it. Maybe I'll find out that I've got some Van Aken roots.
So one of our family members, I will not say who, knowing that anybody here would know, but in case they're listening, it's not Brandon.
Sorry, Brandon.
Somebody took an Ancestry.com thing and found out they found out their brother had a son that they didn't know about, and so it's like this big thing that's like happening in the family right now. Ancestry.com is out here. They are. It's like, I thought it was a novelty thing, and I'm like, dang, you have to send in DNA and all this stuff. Like it's wild.
Okay.
You can find out.
Last thing I will say before we go to bed is, wouldn't it be amazing to find out that like it's all made up? Like somebody, right? Like some like Uber author is creating like an extended universe or like a cinematic universe, but it's us. Yes. And like taking all these characters and all these people who are real people, and like, you're actually simulation. Like, you didn't even know. Yeah. It'd be, oh my god, that would blow my mind. Can we talk? I need to have you back on. We'll talk about if all of this is a simulation. But why don't we close things out there? I could talk to you for 6 hours straight, man. One day we should actually do like the 6-hour podcast. I'd love to do like a Kevin Smith style, just like.
Do you like conspiracy theories?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Who doesn't?
Extra Life. I don't know when, but.
That's a good one.
That would be a good.
Marathon
that'd be a good
time.
Topic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't decide if like having a baby is gonna either like. I mean, definitely it will limit my time considerably.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm going to be up at 2 o'clock for no good reason other than just to, like, feed a baby. So, dude, who knows?
Bring the DS out or the Switch, obviously, but.
Or my Vita. I got my Vita right here, man.
I have my Vita, too. Mine's covered in dust. I just have a dusty house. I have been playing it.
Oh.
But
yeah, you're just playing. the house is so dusty that you can actually just watch. You're having to like blow the dust off as you're playing it.
It's like, I promise I love my Vita. It's just we need to get some better ventilation.
Okay, man. As if people didn't already know, please tell the people where they can find you on the internet and all the things that you want to draw their attention to at the end of the show here, dude.
Thank you. okbeast.com is where like all of our work is. And youtube.com/okbeast. We put up a video every Friday. Every other Friday it's a video essay. Every other Friday it's the leaderboard video. And yeah, I host the OK Beast podcast every Monday, and then every other week we do the leaderboard podcast. So that's where you can find me on Twitter. I'm at It's Van Aken, and I think that's everywhere.
Dude, you are like one of my favorite people in the world, especially one of my favorite people to talk to. Thank you for making time tonight, man. This has been an absolute an honor and privilege. You're a scholar and a gentleman, or the other way around. I can't remember where it goes.
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
This is one of the harder shows to like kind of close up. It's just like, can I just say like nice things about you for the next 5 minutes, or should I just maybe just cut it here? Everyone should be so lucky to sit and chat and pick a brain at Alex Van Aken. I am so appreciative for your time. It's a late night, man. That's late for us old guys on a Friday night. Well, I'm old. He's just wise beyond his years. Alex Van Aken. It's Van Aken on Twitter. okbeast.com. Go subscribe to youtube.com/okbeast. One of the best group of people making the video game content on the planet. Thank you, Alex. Thank you guys for listening and for giving the thumbs up on the video if you haven't already, and for supporting us on patreon.com/makeusbetter. I want to talk about that in a quick second. But of course, I had to use a Persona song. There's not too much on OC Remix, not a lot of Persona stuff, so I had to reach it back to Persona 4 Arena for a song called Kuro Yuki. I think I nailed that one. OCRemix.org. There's a great song. I was going to use a Street Fighter song, but then it had like vocals in it, and I feel like it's not a big deal because I kind of put the songs down really low, but then it'd be weird if like the vocals and then we're talking over it. Guys, rambling on. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean the Connor Capri like the pants. Follow the show We the GamerCast. The website that I'm a part of is We the Nerdy. And if you like this stuff, please consider supporting me and PSVG and Warp Whistle Gaming and Nintendo Nostalgia and Bad Bit Games over at patreon.com/makeusbetter. In case you guys didn't know, we all take an equal cut. We're all equals, and it is incredible. It's the best Patreon on the internet because you can support all of us in a one-stop shop to support a massive group of content creators and a crazy amount of content. And if you missed the announcement, PSVG announced a new goal. If we reach $400, their shows are going to get individual feeds. It's something they've been needing for pretty much since the beginning of time, especially for Nintendo Shack, one of the best, if not the best, Nintendo podcasts on the freaking internet. Maybe even better than If We Ran Nintendo. It needs its own feed. It needs its own attention. You will make it better if you get us to $400. I actually think I might become an executive producer. Now that I'm saying that, I think I've got to do it. I might be executive producer by the time this goes up. I'll be saying my own name, and that'll be weird. I probably won't do that. Thank you to our artists, Gary Gray and Adam Leonard. Thank you to Antonio Guillen, who I will be talking to you very soon on the Hypecast. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I just did. So there you are, Antonio Guillen. I hope everybody, Johnathan, Luke, everybody in the Carolinas and on the East Coast affected by Hurricane Florence and the Machine. Is that what that band is called? Florence and the Machine? Florence. I'm running out of time. Otherwise, this is episode 170 of We the GamerCast. I'm going to be back next week. I hope you're there too. I just ruined that ending, but that's okay. Now it's time for Jason. I should leave that for just the Xbox Drive. Support the Xbox Drive. Go listen to the Xbox Drive, even if you don't play Xbox. But
Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Sean, where are you? Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!